welcome back to Dallas, boss. It's good to see you.
It's good to be back. Did that work? Yes.
Yeah. The funny thing is that a lot of people's first exposure to you was at the outset of Series 2 of The Walking Dead. The first time I saw you on screen, it was at a drive-in theater for a film you did called The Ninth Configuration. Phenomenal film, and something you wouldn't think you'd see in a drive-in, because it takes that really amazing turn about midway through, and it starts really delving into some dark places. And to start with, I'm curious, when you get a project like that, you get a project like In Cold Blood, where you're opposite people like Robert Blake. Talk a little about just being able to go to dark places your characters need to hit as an actor, because it's got to be just amazing to see that script for the first time and go, I get to dig into this, and it's really
drive-in theaters, I didn't know they had them in the 80s or 81. But earlier, In Cold Blood, you mentioned, I went to a drive-in theater one night to see In Cold Blood, and there was no cars there. There was no one there. So maybe I helped in drive-in theaters.
Scott.
But the first film it was in the heat of the night with Sidney Poitier and Rod Steiger. And that actually led to my being up for In Cold Blood. Mr. Poitier and Quincy Jones called the director of In Cold Blood and said, you should see this guy, he should be in your movie. So that's how I got up for it. And next year will be 50 years since those two films were made.
But as a young man of 35, you have your whole career ahead of you. How do you manage that?
Well, I'd like to think it's still
Exactly.
No, it's been a good career. It's been fun. I've worked with some great people in front of and behind the camera, and I couldn't have asked for anything more. That's what I wanted.
The great thing is also just because you were decapitated by the governor, that didn't mean your career ended. You're doing recurring pieces in Bosch, which is a phenomenal show on Showtime. If you haven't had a chance, I'm sorry, if you haven't had a chance to see it, it's a phenomenal show. And I'm just curious, after you finish a run on a show like Walking Dead, which is, it's the #1 show on cable. Everybody wants to at least just play a zombie, let alone get killed by one. What does that do for your offers at that point? Because what are you getting pitched now that you've had that great 4-year run on the show?
Well, I just finished a new series, first season of a new series this year. It'll be on Netflix. It's called The OA. It's with Britt Marlin, and it's all about Monley, who's the director and co-writer. And that was a lot of fun, so I have high expectations for that because it was fun. And I believe, I think there'll be another season. I just finished doing a cameo in a Western called The Hospitals with Christian Bale is the hero in it. So life goes on. Hershel is dead, life goes on.
Well, just because Hershel is dead doesn't mean you're not going to see him on The Walking Dead. I mean, you've already been on the show twice after you got killed.
Yeah, well, yes, my head was on one.
We do have a couple. We do have a couple of mics. Is that me? Is it my battery? I don't know. We do have a couple of mics available for you guys if you do have questions for Scott as we go, because this is going to be a pretty rollicking conversation. I don't want to monopolize time. I'll ask him about In Cold Blood for the entire hour. Don't make me do that. I am curious, because Walking Dead, even though the show was successful, there was a lot of turmoil behind the scenes. You went through 3 different showrunners during your tenure on it. Does that matter when you're actually in there shooting? I mean, I know there's a script, there's a tone in scripts that winds up changing. But when you're shooting a show, do you notice when a showrunner is replaced by those things?
When I was in Georgia, that's my native state, is Georgia. I was back there for my mom at the time, her 97th birthday. She's 102 now. Pretty cool. And I was talking to a guy I grew up with. I said, as long as I've been acting, as much production as I've had in Georgia, I've never worked in. 30 minutes later, 30 minutes later, the phone rang, and it was about The Walking Dead. And my manager said, they're interested in you for 2 or 3 shows. And I said, what's it about? They said, zombies. I said, right. Okay, tell me something good. And they said, Frank Darabont and Gail Ann Hurd, and these are 2 extremely creative, talented people. Frank's a writer, director, producer, and Gail's a producer. And I said, I'm interested, because when you hear those names, certain names you hear, you know you're talking about quality. You don't know that you're going to catch lightning in a jug, but you do know that it's going to be quality. So it was in my first season that Frank left the show. And it did create turmoil. But you know, the show must go on, as they say. So it has gone on and still goes on. But the crew, the actors, the writers' room, the producers, they were all very experienced, talented, and easy people to get along with. It doesn't have to be the case.
And a lot of times it's not.
A lot of times it isn't.
Is there any truth to the whole bit where the main cast or the living, shall we say, are on one bit of craft services where everybody's eating lunch, and then if you're a zombie or undead, they're on a completely different part of the cafeteria at that point where there's no intermingling at all at that stage? Because you hear that story every now and then. I'm just curious if there's any truth to that.
Generally speaking, in all productions, the cast and the crew eat in one place, and the background talent, that's a separate place that they eat. So
I was just curious if there was a economy.
I've done background years ago. I worked on a Jerry Lewis picture. I worked on the Frank Sinatra movie. I worked on, as in background years ago. So that's just kind of the pecking order. That's the way it works.
I just didn't know if it was a dead versus undead thing. A dead bias, shall we say.
Not really.
Were you? Oh, okay. I want to go to the bit right after the incident in the barn, and your character goes into town and basically has an epiphany to where I can't keep living the way that I do. And I think that point was a real turning point for the way that your character was written. Because there was an empathy that I don't think was there up until that piece. So at that point for you as an actor, when you start to read those scripts from that point moving forward, was that a good reaction?
You mean you like drunks?
I identify with them, if that's what you're asking.
It did go into town after the barn, the 8th episode.
Wait,
Microphone's
hi.
not working.
They're saying people that the middle of it actually doesn't do
Magic.
that. Yeah.
No, after the 8th episode, when the walkers came out of the barn, and his wife was one of them, his friends and his neighbors, and it was a revelation to him. He was, up until that point, was thinking that that maybe there was a cure for the walkers, and he realized at that point that there wasn't. So he did go to town, he got drunk, and it was set back for him. But Rick and Lynn came in to find him, and so he was, you know, but the interesting thing to me is he changed at that point in what his beliefs were with the Walkers, but he never changed who he was, because he was always doing what he thought was in the best interest of his friends and neighbors who were no longer people, but Walkers, and he never changed that. He still was concerned about the best interest of the people that he was with. So.
Did you find that it was easier to play the character after that revelation?
It's interesting, you know, the interesting thing to me is that if you do a play, you realize the full arc of a character in one evening. If you are doing a film or a guest shot on television, you realize the full arc of the character over a period of time. They may shoot it out of sequence, but the arc is still there and you see it. But with television, I had never been involved with the TV show for this long. It's more of an evolving process. So you don't know exactly where the character's going to go. You don't know how he may change. You may plant some things, say, well, I'll try to put this in here and maybe down the road it'll bear fruit. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But it was very, I really enjoyed the process of working on the show, on the television.
Is that something that you would look at doing again as being a regular character on a show, or would you prefer the freedom of something you're doing like with Bosch, or with what you were doing with CSI, where you would come back to the character after a year and maybe do a couple of episodes at that point?
Well, I mean, the show that I'm in called the OA that
Right.
will be coming out would be a regular on that. And it was a lot of fun. They shot 8 episodes, so we'll see what happens. But it was a lot of fun.
Is there a
I like acting.
Oh, you don't care what they call you as long as they call you.
Yeah.
I'm curious also because when you have this kind of start that you did with your career, which are very rich character dramas, and people you can actually look at, it's like, okay, I want to dive into this script and jump into it. When you have that kind of start to your career, do you hold scripts at a higher level at that point? I mean, not just because of the people who are involved, like Darabont or Galen Hurt, but where you're also looking at it going, this is really, really goofy. I need goofy in my life right now, or I can't go this absurd with a character.
I think when I hitchhiked from Georgia to California when I was 19, and I got drunk and ended up in an acting class. Yeah, like everyone does, don't they? And I didn't really go to California to be an actor. But at the end of the class, the teacher said, I don't know what your problem is, don't come back to my class drunk. So I went back the next weekend to apologize to him. And he gave me a monologue to do from the Eugene O'Neill one-act play called A Long Voyage Home. And for some reason I went back and did it and realized that that's what I wanted to do with my life. So I never really viewed it as a way to make a living. It was something that I felt compelled to do. And I did plays and workshops, and I taught acting for a while, for about 5.5 years, before I got my first film interview. And that was in '89. And I said, I better get this, and I got it. So it was a lot of fun, and since then I have worked, I really left Georgia, I wanted to see some of the world. And I have seen quite a bit of the world. It's been a fun life, and I've worked with different people around the world. So, I don't know. Maybe I should get drunk again.
I don't think that's going to do it this time. We've got a question out here.
I'd like to say that, real quick, that I really loved your performances, Hershel, but probably one of my very favorite roles you've done was a very small part in the Korean movie The Host. your portrayal of that character made him so marvelously despicable. It was just wonderful. Added to a really great movie. But I was wondering if now that you're no longer on The Walking Dead, are you still following the show now as a fan?
I do, because I am a fan of the show, and I'm still friends with the cast and crew members, and it's been it's fun. It was a great experience to be on the show, and I'll be playing golf I think next week. Then I'll lose again. Thank you.
We all have our theories as to who will be leaving at the end of Lucille's back. Do you have your own theory? Because I know that they won't tell you. They won't tell anybody under pain of death.
Well, if I told you, I would have to kill you.
Fine enough.
What if they killed them all?
Well, you still got Morgan. You got a tiger.
Whoever it is, it would be a loss to the audience.
And the funny thing is that AMC started this morning running all of the episodes back to back leading up to the series. So your episodes will actually start tomorrow morning. So we'll get a chance to revisit those bits again. Thank God I'm working from home tomorrow. Got a question over here.
I was wondering, who do you think is the Hershel in this season of The Walking Dead? Like, who do you think is taking the role of Hershel?
I'm not sure that there is a Hershel there. You know, Hershel kind of replaced Dale, Jeffrey DeMont. He was really kind of the moral compass when he was on the show. And when he left, Hershel kind of stepped in a way. But as showrunner mentioned to me, Scott Gimple, when they took me off, they were thinking the show was going to go to a darker place. And they weren't sure how Hershel fit into that darker place. So that was part of the reason Hershel was taken out. So I'm not sure there is a Hershel type thing in there right now. Maybe I'm wrong. Do you think there is?
I'm wondering if Morgan might be in that role, but I mean, he's still coming from a damaged place, but at least he's still trying to bring people closer, you know?
He is. I guess you're right.
I've been wrong before.
I'd like to follow the show, but I just
Back over here.
Hello. I was just curious, during your time on The Walking Dead, if there was a scene or an event throughout your filming that kind of stuck out in your mind as one of your favorites during that time?
There were a lot of fun days on the show. Right after Hershel got his leg chopped off, he was in the cell in a bunk. They cut a hole in the bottom of the bunk, and my leg was down there, so it looked like your leg was gone. And they were shooting a scene with a lot of the characters in the cell. And I decided I would stay on the cot because it would help the day go faster if I didn't get up and down after every take or every camera angle. And during one of the scenes, I started snoring. So I woke up with everyone laughing at me. And they said, "Did you do that on purpose?" I said, "Yeah." That was kind of funny. Jokers on me.
With all the practical jokers that are in that cast, Andrew Lincoln, Norman Reedus, Stephen Ewan is apparently picked up a lot of the mantle too. Is there one of the jokes that went too far on set?
Not as far as I'm concerned. I think they've become a little more carefree with the jokes since I left.
The glitter bombing is coming to mind for the retaliation is going to be horrible. I think we're back over here.
Yes, my name is Lanisa, and I don't think anybody could replace Hershel. My question is, I think you were like the moral compass for Rick. And if Hershel was still there, do you think that they would be in the mess they are now?
Well, they might be worse off. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I think Hershel would definitely have added a different resonance to the show. But in the meantime, what he had to say while he was there echoes through the show. They still at times bring up issues that Hershel dealt with when he was on his show. His daughter's going to have a baby. Maybe there'll be a little Hershel there later, who knows?
Back over here.
Hey Scott, I just wanted to know, me and my coworkers at my radio station, we always talk about The Walking Dead, but I just wanted to know, my coworkers say you either read or heard somewhere when a character gets bumped off, you guys always do what's called the death dinner, but since you're still living in Georgia, do you still attend the death dinners?
I don't live in Georgia now, I live in California. But they do have, after characters are killed off, they do have a death dinner. And it's kind of strange to attend your own death dinner. I mean, but it's fun. I mean, it's in good spirits. And the thing is, people started looking around town to see where everyone was going. When everyone was having dinner together, they said, someone's gone. But it was a lot of fun. I remember mine. People got throwing up and sick. I'm not going to say who.
Right back over here.
Hi Scott, my name is Brian. Met you on Friday night. It was a real honour, and thank you very much for all your great work over the years. I've been a fan since my wife, when I met her many years ago, introduced me to In Cold Blood, and so that's an astounding movie. And you've been in some really culturally important movies over the years, In Cold Blood, and Meet with the Night, The Great Gatsby. And there's that other one that many people don't want to talk about that's almost as important, which is Judge Dredd. So how was that experience for you at the time? Was it a good one filming that, and do you look back on it fondly?
It was fun, but it was a lot of fun playing a cannibal. but I also did a film based on a play that Carol Wojtyła wrote, who later became Pope John Paul II. So when he was a young man, he was an actor and a playwright, and then he gave up the world of art and literature and became a monk. As the person that he wrote the play about, Adam Muralowski, who was an artist who came in contact with the homeless and gave up the world of art and literature and became a monk and devoted the balance of his life to the downtrodden. So, I've played a lot of bad guys, but I've also played some good guys too. And that was when I had two audiences with Pope John Paul II. One after he saw the film. I'm not a Catholic, but it was quite a unique experience. But yeah, that was fun. It was a kind of a small role, the Judge Dredd role, but it was fun playing the high angel.
And just chewing an amazing amount of scenery in that too.
It was amazing. I met Rob Snyder on that film. We became big friends. But it was a lot of fun.
No, right over here.
I'm Emma. I was wondering, when you first read the scripts, was there a certain scene that stuck out to you and made you think, like, wow, how are we going to turn this into, like, a show?
Well, for The Walking Dead, I asked him if I could see the first season of the show, and I was able to get some CDs on the first season, and if they had any scripts that I could read. And they got me 8 scripts, and my mother said, "Can I read them?" And I said, "Who's going to stop you?" So she read them, and she says, "Scott, you have to do this." And then she saw the first 6 episodes, and she says, "You really have to do this show." And so who's going to tell their mom no? So it was a lot of, I don't know usually. I don't know what I'm looking for. When the script comes in front of me and I like it, then I want to be involved. If I knew what I wanted to do, maybe I would write it myself.
Is that something that you're interested in doing?
Writing? I don't think I have the discipline that you need to be a good writer. You can read scenes. I think I understand script. I understand scenes. I understand what works. But that's one thing. It's another thing to look at a blank page and put something on it.
Precisely. Is there a type of character that you would like to see pitched to you that you haven't had a chance to portray on screen yet?
All of those roles I'm too old for now.
It's 2016. With CG, you can do anything.
It's true. Gosh, you should see my body on some of these things that they make a stud.
For the various bits where you're out and about after you lose your leg on the show, obviously they're doing like a green screen sock over the piece or whatever. I'm curious because we bring up CG. I'm curious if any of the effects artists might have had a little more fun with it than you would think at some points where they might have shown you a test on it.
Well, it's interesting. Do you know how green screen works? I don't know if you understand how green screen works. It's computer-generated imaging, CGI. And it works like this. If this is the green sock, and it's here, and you want to see what's behind that to look like the leg isn't there, and you see the green, you know that the leg is being seen. So you go back, you shoot this, and you come back and lay that over that, and it makes it look like it's gone. You're only seeing that. So it's clever. It's very, it's interesting to do it, but still, you're trying to hide the leg a lot, which is quite, it's a little bit of an effort.
Well, plus you have to move differently. You have to move as if the leg isn't there because the audience, the illusion is gone if you're still walking normally in just, depending on CG to get rid of it. And if you're planting a leg that isn't there as you're crushing along, it just winds up being difficult for the guy. So did it take some time to get used to that method of movement while you were legless at that point?
It took time. It takes time to get used to it, and also it takes time to get used to it. And you're thinking, I have to look like I'm vital, because if I'm not vital, then I'm not relevant. You can't be with these people at this time if you're not physically up to it. So you're trying to make, even though you're missing that limb, you're trying to make it look as though you can function well without it. So it's interesting. It was a lot of fun. So hopping around on one leg, but it was a lot of fun.
It's a gas to have you here. I'm incredibly grateful to have this time to talk with you. And once again, the OA, do you have a premiere date from them for Netflix yet? Okay, so just keep an eye on it, because Netflix just drops shows without any warning whatsoever. We all know this. Unless it's Luke Cage, then you'll hear about it months in advance. Scott, thank you for sharing your weekend with us. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely.